So why don't we start by learning a little bit about your entrepreneurial journey? How did you get into business? How did you become an entrepreneur? And why don't we go all the way up until what you're doing now? And I know that's a big question because that's usually a pretty long journey. But if you want to take us through the real quick run through, and then I might find some little points to dig deeper on.
You got it, Matt. The Cliff Notes version.
Yeah.
So, my first book's called From Bankrupt to Making $900 a Day Selling Mops. And people always ask me, they're like, did you really how did you make almost $1,000 a day? And did you really sell mops, right? Like, I don't believe it. And so I got started in business in a major failure. I don't know if you've ever seen that ShamWow guy that sells ShamWow. Okay, so I did that, but I sold mops and lint removers, okay? Doing these live product demos in stores like Sears, Canadian Tire, Walmart, these kind of things. And I became the best salesperson in the company. We had about 300 agents worldwide, and I took the job because I wanted to move to Hawaii. So I had, gone bankrupt in business because I did not understand the importance of really having the entrepreneurial mindset, right? Being an entrepreneur, making sales, focusing on sales was not a priority. Was not it's just such a different mindset, being a job or being a worker or an employee, it's very different things. So I went bankrupt because I didn't understand the importance of marketing and sales. And then I got into the law of attraction. I attracted this job selling mops. I moved to Hawaii, became the best salesperson, wrote a book about it. And then women started seeking me out, and they wanted me to help them with their mindset and sales. And so I became a mindset and sales mentor, women's empowerment leader, and that's what I do now. I have been doing this for 6 years. I have 2 books, and I feel so blessed because I get to work with amazing women and really help them with their confidence and their cash flow.
That's so cool. Now, so what is the business model now? So how do you earn your income from that?
I have the best business model, and I teach women how to run online leveraged group masterminds. So I have a 9-month program. I only do one thing. That's all I do. And I think that for coaches and consultants, healers, for women, stay-at-home moms, people who want to create a portable, profitable business. People ask me all the time, how did you go and move to Hawaii? How did you do that? How did you become the bikini business coach and fly around and live in this paradise island? So the business model is a 9-month or a 12-month program where people get a lot of high-touch interaction with me. There's a private Facebook group. We have 2 live calls a week. And then I do one-on-one once a month with each of my clients. So it's a very high level program. There's only 25 people. It gets capped. People go on a 9-month waiting list. And in that program, I teach them everything from, how to break through your visibility blocks to how do you package yourself? How do you create your own online group mastermind? How does it work? What does the inner bowels of that look like? How do you outsource? What's your onboarding process? And they get to ask and really have direct accountability, which I think is missing in today's world. Everyone wants to create passive income and it's awesome. I'm doing that too, but I have this one solid program that I run, and that's my main business model.
Oh, I love that. I mean, it's actually somewhat similar to my business model because my sort of main core business is actually a membership community where people get in and interact in Facebook, and I do one live monthly call, but then throughout the month I also add recorded training in that they get access to as well. So very similar business model. So there's a lot that I could learn from you. So I'm excited to really dive into this stuff. So how right now, so is it all just women? There's no men in the group?
There's one guy. He's so cool. Actually, so I work with mainly healers and coaches, consultant. I mean, I started off as kind of a quasi law of attraction sales girl, so I got a lot of law of attraction people in there. And there was one guy. This is a crazy story. So when I was 20 years old, moved to Japan and taught English. And then I traipsed around Southeast Asia, Thailand, Vietnam, Cambodia, wound up in Thailand in a little beach hut bungalow where I lived for 5 months, doing yoga for 3 hours every morning with this guy that looked like Osama bin Laden. And so when I was in Japan, I taught English lessons on the side, and this guy was one of my clients. He was studying to be a doctor, and he needed to learn conversational English. Well, he like fast forward 16 years. I'm totally aging myself. He says, I'm coming to California, do you want to meet up for a drink? And he says, I really want to get into coaching now. He's, got into Eastern medicine Eastern medicine, Eastern philosophy. And so I said, yeah, I've got this great, like the best program for coaches. And so he's a natural fit. He's awesome. And he brings kind of like, I love having a mastermind because he brings this whole, lots of SEO, and he talks about, things that I don't really get into a lot. Mm-hmm. So there is one really cool dude in the program.
Cool. So with the business that you've got now, how do you pick up your clients? How do people discover you? And then how do you essentially get them into your group?
So I filled my entire mastermind group by doing two things. The first thing was a live weekly webinar. So consistency. If there's like one, fail-proof rule to success as an entrepreneur, I think it's consistency. Mm-hmm. And to not fix what's not broken. So when I lived in Hawaii and I had to learn online marketing because there was only 60,000 people in Kauai, I launched webinars and they worked. And so I started doing live weekly webinars every week, the same time every week, different, I would be live answering questions and then have people apply for the program. And the other way I filled my program is by speaking. And I mean, I don't speak to huge major audiences. I do like networking events. There's like maybe 20 to 50 people, sometimes 15 people. I really like that kind of close-knit facilitation. Uh-huh. And so with those, basically with those two methods, and I mean, if you're gonna, the reason why I love this method is because, to generate a significant $20,000 to $30,000, $50,000 a month income, you don't need a ton of people, right? That's a great thing. You don't need like 500 people. You can, have 20 people that pay $1,000 a month, or 20 people that pay $2,000 a month.
Very
right?
cool. So with those webinars, was it Facebook traffic? Was it SEO? I mean, what do you do to get people on the webinars?
So this is a really interesting question. I just started now to get into Facebook ad traffic. In the beginning, I had my Facebook ads account shut down. All right. So I can talk for years about what you cannot do on Facebook, like especially like being in an ad in a bikini. They don't like that. And they don't like it when you promise things like 10K in 30 days, which is the name of my program. So anyway, what I did is I just used my own personal profile traffic. Mm-hmm. And so everything I did, everything I talked about, I mean, I have people on Twitter, but I still don't even know how it really works. But anyways, my assistant promoted, my webinar on Twitter and on LinkedIn, and I would do a 30-day video challenge. So I teach my clients who are mainly non-tech savvy women in their 44 to 54, women with tons of knowledge who are like, oh my God, the computer, if I touch a thing, it'll explode. How to generate visibility. And so a 30-day video challenge, so a video a day for 30 days, and I would talk about a different problem just on my personal Facebook profile page. Mm-hmm. And posting different images of me in a bikini in Hawaii or whatever, pictures of Hawaii, right, lifestyle. And then just inviting people with every kind of promotional post back to join the weekly webinar. So it wasn't even paid traffic at first.
Okay, so you were posting on just the organic thing, just every day, very, very, again, consistency. Yeah, being very consistent with it.
A mix of pictures and just text as well, long text, telling stories, videos. So everything was directed to that webinar.
Very cool. So I want to shift focus a little bit and talk about branding for a little bit, and then we're gonna really dive into the mindset stuff, because that's what I'm really excited about talking about with you. So with your actual personal brand, I was checking out your website before we got on the call, and you've got a very professionally designed website and very professional photos, and you've got a best-selling book, and you've been featured on TV and radio and big publications and magazines and all that stuff. How methodical of a process was that for you? Was that something that you actively set out to do, or is that something that just kind of like over time just kind of snowballed and picked up on itself?
Oh my God, that's a brilliant question. It was get in the game and learn how to swim. Okay. Jump in with both feet and learn how to swim kind of process. So, gosh, my first website was years and years ago. It was actually called Naturally a Woman's Way. I studied Chinese medicine and I had this health blog. And, anyways, I've had many websites throughout the years and many different renditions of it. So, gosh, it's been an evolving kind of work in process, and actually what I learned, and it kind of ties into mindset. What I learned about branding was to don't fix what's not broken. I tell everybody this is like one of my biggest ahas. As I'm getting older, I'm like, oh, the most profound and powerful things are in like these simple cliches that you hear. But, when I lived in Hawaii, it was all about, I became the bikini business coach and, create a lifestyle and business by design instead of by default and create this portable, profitable business. And I always wanted to literally run around and be Avatar and hunt for mangoes and, disappear into the jungle. And this really, I'm still like this. If I have to wear clothes, I'm like, oh, I love being in Southern California. I love that it's hot. I love the sun. I love the beach. So that became my brand. And I moved, in 2014, I moved at the end of 2014 here to Southern California, and I thought, oh, now Californians are so much more chic and nice, and I have to like recreate my brand and be this like chic thing. And it was like, actually, no, I don't, right? And so I realized from all these women that were joining my program, like, yeah, I wrote down this bikini business coach and I wrote this down a year ago and I've been following you. And so people really buy my lifestyle. They buy the lifestyle. That's what people buy, And so I really learned that I'm actually going like, rewind. Everything's going to be bikini. Everything's going to be beach, So I'm really just diving into what works. And I think that this is a huge key mindset, to really get as an entrepreneur, to don't fix what's not broken. And I mean, it's so easy now that there's like Periscope, there's like Facebook video, there's like, oh my God, podcasting, videos, YouTube. There's so many things to do that, all these big, bright, shiny objects, you can go everywhere. And it's actually harder to stick with what works and just be consistent. And that is really where mastery comes from. So, I mean, that's my take on branding. I've been on television. That's been great. I have written books. All of it I've invested in. It's an investment. And so it's not something that comes over time. I think branding, building a business is kind of like a train, like, oh, you start with like one car and then you got like have a few more cars and then all of a sudden you've got this like raging engine and it's like a firing and you're like flying down, the tracks. And it takes, I've been in business now for 6 years, so I'm glad that my train has left the station and it's on track,
That's such a good point too, because I know so many people that I talk to that, they'll do a webinar and the webinar will just go crazy for them and it'll make a ton of sales for them. And then 2 months later, they're going, well, I don't know what I should be focused on next. Well, did that webinar work? Well, why don't you go do that some more? And it's just like, I've never really kind of understood if something works, why would you stop it and move over to something else? But I've got to admit, I've been guilty of stuff like that too. And I think, most entrepreneurs probably have as well.
Right, because we're creative and it's fun to like, oh, into the next thing. I remember I published the best-selling book and then I was like, oh, next. And I dawned on me like 3 months later, I'm like, did you even read your book? You know what I mean? Like it was like, no, I haven't. It was like done next. Like, what's the next thing? And right, instead of taking it piece by piece and start putting that on social media and like using the book. Okay, you have the book now. You did the launch. Like use it, right? So I think it's a syndrome creative people have.
Now, when you did the various like TV shows and you got interviewed, what sort of led to that happening?
I did a program actually. I invested in myself. I did a program with Clint Arthur. It's called Celebrity Launchpad. I went to Traffic and Conversion Summit here in San Diego last year in 2015. And I met some amazing rock star entrepreneurs there, Susan Pizzazz Breton and her husband. And she's another tall blonde, just bombshell. And we just hit it off in the bathroom. We're like, blah, 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 blah. And she's telling me about, you got to do this celebrity launchpad. So I went to check it out. I did that. I went to Hollywood for a weekend, and we it was basically a 4-day program where we pitched television producers. And it wasn't cheap. I'll tell you right now, it was not cheap. And it was worth it. I got, I think, one of the most invitations. I still haven't done all of the appearances. I haven't had time to go and do all the appearances. And I don't want to necessarily be on TV all day long for the rest of my life, but I think it's great. And it's a whole other ballgame. I was like terrified. Oh my God, I was like sweating. I talk all day long. I am a speaker, performer. And like when the lights are on you, the cameras, I was like, oh my God, it's a totally different ball.
Oh, I can't even imagine. I haven't done any sort of TV stuff. Well, I take that back. I've done one sort of TV interview years and years and years ago, and I've done one radio interview, which was actually Henry Evans' radio show. But that's about the extent of that kind of stuff that I've done so far. So it's something that I'm hoping to kind of get into and learn more about. Now, with the actual TV stuff, did you see much results from that in the way of sales and generating new business for you?
Yes, and it's indirect, right? So as soon as people see you on TV, they're like, "Oh my God, you're a star!" It's really true, So you kind of like draw out that like Ritz and pop and fizz, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what it is. Oh, I'm on TV now. You can put screenshots of like Fox and ABC featured on this. I was featured on blah 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 blah. It's all positioning, perception. I'm still the same girl, still the same Vanessa Simpkins. I make my own copy at home, So I've been on TV, but other people's perception of you is like through the roof. Yeah. Of course, now your prices can be through the roof because. I paid for that. I actually invested, a good chunk of cash to be able to do that. So yes, I think I think people's, idea of you changes. And it definitely positions you. So, is it worth it? Yes. Did I see, I think people were like, oh shit, I better hire her now before she goes on Oprah or something. Yeah. I really can't afford her. Like that's what it was. That's what the kind of feedback that I got in my inbox from people.
Yeah, yeah. And were you at this year's Trafficking Conversion 2016?
I wasn't. I chose to go to another event, the Archangel event in Hollywood. I feel like I don't need to learn anymore. I just need to do. Right. And I have time to do it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I was at the event, but I think I popped into maybe 3 of the sessions, and one of them was Gary Vaynerchuk, and one of the big points Gary was trying to make when he was up on stage was when it comes to the branding efforts, when it comes to, getting on TV, putting out the book, getting on radio, getting in these publications and stuff, stop trying to quantify it and figure out how to get an ROI on it, because that it all leads to this kind of bigger picture that you're not quite seeing yet, So I thought that was a really good thing to hammer home, because I'm somebody that's always trying to okay, if I pay this money to get on this TV show, or if I pay this money to get featured in this magazine, am I going to get an ROI on that next week? And I need to stop thinking that way and start thinking, bigger picture, what is this going to do for my overall brand? And like you said, you got those video clips of you being on TV. Now you can leverage the heck out of them. Now you can link to other publications and say, hey, here's from when I was featured on CBS, and just leverage it in so many ways.
And every new client, every new potential interest that comes to see your website, Matt, would be like, oh man, he's been on TV. Wow, this guy's a really big dude. So check him out.
Absolutely.
It does, over the long haul. It is worth it. Yeah.
Very cool. Now, with how many books do you have right now?
I have 2 books.
You have
One's
2 books?
called From Bankrupt to $900 a Day Selling Mops. It's a sales meets spirituality book, kind of mindset, law of attraction-y. And the other one is called Take Your Power Back Now, the ultimate confidence guide for women. It's about following your purpose, your calling, your mission with God, source, spirit, and really, boundaries and femininity. Yeah.
Self-published or traditional?
Both self-published. One is an Amazon bestseller. I would like to do actually a kid's book.
Mm-hmm.
So my boyfriend has 3 kids. I'm like stepmom. And there's this hilarious story about my mom's toenail. I'm not going to tell you. You're going to have to wait for the bestseller. But I'm thinking of going with a publisher for this. I have a publisher who's waiting for, what do you call that? I've never even done this before. It's a pitch to a publisher. What's that called? A proposal?
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't gone that route.
I've never published with a publisher before. So I'm like, okay. Even yesterday, I went to the mailbox and so I mail my clients copies of my book that I sign when they join my program, like Personal Touch. I'm cracking jokes with, the guy at the mail center. And I'm like, yeah, I'm mailing them my book. Give me the book, right? He's like, oh, it's a bestseller. You're going to be like the next Harry Potter woman. I was like, you know what? Yes. Yes, I am going to be the next, I was like, kid's book, I get that proposal done.
Very cool. Now, with your book, did you have like a specific process that you followed? Because I know I've talked to different people that their process was just to sit down and hammer it out and spend a couple hours every day. But some people, they'll speak their book and get it transcribed, and some, there's so many different processes that So I've interviewed quite a few different authors on the show, and everybody seems to have like a different process that they've went through to get their book out there. So I'm curious about yours.
Well, I'll share with you. Both of them I had help with. The first one was a write a book in a weekend program. Mm-hmm. It was great. Banged out all this cool stuff. I had 28 chapters, and it took me a year to get it down to 8 chapters and create the marketing plan. And so it took me about a year. And I had an editor who at the time, this is going way back when, I used to be a massage therapist, so she was one of my clients and she helped me edit it. So that was the first book. Mm-hmm. The second book I actually didn't want to write. I was like, I don't want to write another book. And it was kind of like God, like knock, 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 hey, remember this deal? You got to write this book. It was a story I never wanted to write. And I had posted a Facebook post about how it's messy when a woman takes her power back. There's no way of like really looking good about it. And, my roommate had done something with this guy she was with, and it was messy, and I was telling her. And anyways, the post got like 300 comments. It blew up on my Facebook page. And this writing coach, who's kind of like a ghostwriter, messaged me and was like, hey, remember we had that deal, you need to write another book, and I think we should write it about this. And so I told him, I was like, Les, I'm not writing another book. God's going to have to pay my ass before I write. It's a big job. It's a big job. It's like having a baby, right? Because it's not just the book, but it's like, it's a new brand. Yeah. New book, new brand. It really is. And so he said, listen, we'll do, I'll help you. I'll help you write it. I'll coach kind of the book out of you. And my marketing team will help you. And, that's what we'll do. And so it was a really interesting story. I had like 3 conversations. I had the conversation with him, the marketing team. I had a conversation with this speaking coach, and I had another conversation with a woman to help me promote my Kauai Hawaii retreat for women, all back to back. I had this little dog that I had lost. For 21 days he was missing. I just adopted him. He went lost. This little dog that I called Houdini, by the way, which is like crazy. People are like, of course he's gone. You call him Houdini. So... And I'm on these calls saying, well, if I'm going to write the book, I may as well do the speaking. If I'm going to do the speaking, I may as well have the retreat. So yes, yes, yes to all these things I don't want to do. And in that moment, I look on my phone and I have like 4 messages. We found your dog at the end of the road. Come, to this vacation rental in Hawaii. We found your dog. So it was like, God was like, yeah, you're going to write your book? Boom, here's your little dog back. Wow. And so I started, the book was actually printed and published, a bestseller within 6 months. I woke up every morning. After the gym, I came back, had my coffee, I had a half an hour conversation with my writing coach. We streamlined the ideas. And then every day in the afternoon, before I went to the beach, I would write out 2,000 words and a chapter a day. So within 6 weeks, the book was done. And then, so that was my second book. But on both of them, I had help.
Very cool. One thing I'm noticing too is that you definitely don't shy away from investing in yourself and investing in your business, and you obviously you paid money to do the celebrity thing. You have a writing coach. You have a people helping you publish your books. You really don't shy away from investing in yourself and in your business. And I feel like that's a very sort of common thing that I get a lot, from my clients, is they don't want to spend the money to, I always make this joke that everybody will spend $200 to buy a course about how to drive traffic, but they won't spend, $5 a day to drive traffic. So it's always it's crazy that people don't want to spend money, and I think that's kind of a good segue into talking about some limiting beliefs and go down that route, because a lot of what you do is teaching people how to get over their limiting beliefs. So maybe we can start there. What are some of the biggest limiting beliefs that you see from people that are trying to start their own businesses?
Oh my gosh. Well, the first one is right there. It's basically, the fear. A lot of people actually don't believe in themselves. They'll never tell you that. It'll never come right out. But, most people don't trust themselves to make the right decisions. Mm-hmm. They don't believe that they really can do it. I think as a coach, that's one of the number one things that I really do for my clients. I believe in them, mm-hmm. Until a lot of them believe in themselves. And there's fear there. I think most people are disempowered. So they've given their power away to this thing called the ego, which, tries to protect you, and it uses fear. So if you invest in yourself and you fail, you're going to die. Everything is and that's how people make decisions. But actually they're not making decisions, and that mechanism of feeling, just keep doing the same old thing. That mechanism is what prevents people, from failure, but it also prevents them from growth. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So, the limiting beliefs, one of the there's only a few of them. Mm-hmm. There's only a few really core beliefs. Like, I'm not good enough. I don't deserve it. I'm not worthy enough. Who am I, right? How can I be this expert? I'm not ready enough. Let me just take another freaking course, right? Mm-hmm. This one is learning without earning. I thought a lot of healers do this. They just keep taking course after course after course. It's like, you need to invest in marketing. Enough with the wisdom. You got plenty of wisdom. You need to learn how to sell it. So these are, I think, some of the main beliefs, mm-hmm. and they're unconscious. Yeah, because nobody wants to sit and struggle. Nobody wants to freaking waste time and money. Everyone wants to be a rock star. They just, I think, need to get to a place of a lot of pain in order to make a new decision. That seems to be the process. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I mean, change is scary. Do you know that 9 out of 10 people would rather die than fail? Would rather die than make a change. Make a change. It's scary, right? There's no guarantees. Like, what's going to happen? And I think, I grew up as the daughter of an artist. So my dad was like, he's passed away now, but God bless his soul. He was just like wild and crazy dude who believed in like UFOs and aliens and read like all these philosophy books and Gurdjieff and like, Silva mind control. And his best friend was like a hypnotherapist / shaman. And I mean, I grew up very, very differently than people. Okay. Very different upbringing. And, I did like, past life recall, all kind of weird shit when I was a teenager. Like, it's not normal. I was not raised normally. Like, my parents took me on these long, we sold some paintings, kiddo. I was going on vacation for a month, and just do whatever we want to do. And so I've always really enjoyed just like launching myself into the unknown. It's scary, but I mean, I think going bankrupt at the beginning was a total blessing, because it's like, well, now you really failed, and I didn't die. Like, wait a second. So then it makes it easier to just, launch out there, because I know I'm not going to die.
Yeah. That's so interesting. Now, do you ever listen to Tim Ferriss's stuff? He's got a podcast and that sort of thing.
Read his books, but I haven't listened to his podcast.
So he does an exercise once a year where for an entire week he does nothing but eats like cans of beans and rice, and he wears the same clothes every single day, and he basically does that for a whole week to basically, I don't remember the exact wording he uses, but it's like, is this what I was so afraid of? Because if he was in a poverty level, this is what life would be like. I'd be wearing the same clothes every single day, and I would be eating the cheapest food I could find for every single day. And he does that exercise for a week, once a year, just to put himself in that position of like, is this really what I'm so afraid of if I lose everything? And I found that, very interesting. And it's kind of goes back to what you just said. If you've already seen what the low looks like, you're not scared of it anymore.
Yep.
So I love that.
But Yeah, and that's really what it is. It's the main, you know, driver, the slave driver is the fear, right?
Hmm.
Is the ego, and I think most people just we've not been taught or trained how to take ourselves off of that automatic,
Yeah.
and that's real power. And of course we live in like a capitalistic society. Just McDonald's has got to pump out hamburgers, and toilets need to be clean. So everyone's got to have a job, and the powers that be don't. I don't think you're not going to find those tools in a regular schooling system. That's why this podcast is amazing. And conferences are amazing, and that's why people hire coaches and mentors that can teach them these things.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you said you had a process that you walk people through to actually uncover what limiting beliefs are holding them back. What is that process?
Oh, okay. We can do it. It's called my I'm a Conscious Creator program. And it's really the fastest, most direct way to uncover your subconscious beliefs, turn them around, and then install them. So it's 3 steps. It's the radical honesty. That's called the process, the radical honesty. So you take a radically honest look at the thoughts that you're thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have to be on a couch with a psychologist for 12 years. You don't know. It's really simple, right? You can ask your subconscious a few questions and uncover what's really there. And the second key is to take radical responsibility for it. So change happens when we take responsibility. We're not victims, we are creators. And every thought in our mind manifests in the physical world. It does. Mm-hmm. This is not woo-woo, this is not law of attraction. This is like, science now. And the third key is to actually love yourself enough. So have enough radical self-love to install the new decisions, because what is a belief? A belief is a thought you keep thinking. So the 3 steps are radical honesty, radical responsibility, radical self-love. And if you want, I don't know how much time we have, but we can run through some of the questions if you like.
Yeah, we have as much time as you've got. I don't have any time constraints, but so it's really up to how much time you've got for us.
I've got another call that starts in at 2, so I've got another 20 minutes.
Cool.
The first question is, what's the worst that can happen? Mm-hmm. Right? We were just talking about this. So if you're listening to this, if you're watching this video, take a pen and a paper. I'm about to give you the ultimate chocolate recipe, the ultimate chocolate cake recipe for how to reprogram your mind and really have an entrepreneurial mindset for success. So it's like, you can't just think positive and slap a Band-Aid on a freaking gaping, disgusting, smelly, pussy wound. You have to clean it out, maybe put some medicine on it, take a pill, and then install. So the first part of this is uncovering, the block. So whatever's happening in your life, in your business, what's the worst thing that can happen? So you answer that question. What's the worst thing that can happen to you right now? So give me an example. Do you want to be my guinea pig?
Sure.
Okay.
So what's the worst thing that can happen is as far as
pick a circumstance, an event, something in your life that you're worrying about, that you're wondering about. How's it going to work out? Something that's bothering you.
Whoosh. Okay. I've got to think about this now. I'm not actually, nothing is coming. I'm actually really legitimately drawing a blank right now. So let's just, one thing that I've really resisted and avoided for a really long time is doing public speaking. So I mean, I've done it a little bit. I don't like it. I avoid it as much as possible, and I pretty much never do it. And it's something that I feel like if I did it more in my business, I could probably make greater strides with my business.
Okay. So what's the worst thing that can happen regarding that whole thing? That if you don't speak, then your business, may not make the strides. What's the worst thing that can happen?
I guess staying stagnant, staying at the same level that I'm at right now.
Right. So staying stagnant, staying the same level you are now. Then what?
I guess feel like I'm in a sort of hamster wheel of just kind of staying in the same place, just not growing.
Anything else?
That's kind of feels like the same answer reworded in a different way.
Just stagnant. Would anything else happen? Then what would happen?
Um, I don't know. I guess I would kind of probably beat myself up a little bit for not taking that leap. You know.
Right. Okay. So how does it make you feel when you think, read, say, believe that thought, I'll just stay the same. I'll stay stagnant. Things won't go anywhere. How does it feel in your body? So that's the second question.
So how does it feel in my body?
When you believe, when you think, when you read that thought, right? Because all feelings want expression.
Mhm.
Now we're going to just open the door and let them have it. So the thought, I'm going to stay the same. I probably won't grow as fast as I could be. I might beat myself up. You know, how does it feel in your body when you believe, think, read those thoughts? Is it an opening? Is it a closing feeling?
Let's see. I would say it is a closing feeling. I'm not I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, and this is not like a super huge, major, belief. I mean, I work with people who, they're like maybe terrified, to get on a sales call, or they continue sabotaging themselves. One of my clients did this process and generated $20,000 in income her next month. Right? We found a belief in there that if she made more money than her husband might leave her. So there's no way that you're going to manifest your goal when you have a belief inside, a contrary belief inside. So it's a closing down feeling. So the next question on the list is, what do you have to believe about yourself or about life in order to have concocted this situation, this experience where you're not speaking, right? Where you're not growing your business as fast as you could. And it's it's the first thing that jumps out of your mind. And I'll give you an example. So when I was concocting this entire, radical honesty, I am conscious creator program that I now teach my clients, I was dating guys, all kinds of men, mostly trolls. Okay. I love men. I think there are amazing men in the world, but I was not dating any of those ones. I was finding all of these, crazy trolls or just guys that couldn't give me what I wanted. They would give me, they would either not want to get married, or they wouldn't want to have kids, or, they didn't want to be exclusive, or whatever it was. They were only giving me 50% of what I wanted. And I sat down one day and I ran this process. Okay, I said, Vanessa, take responsibility for this, because the only common denominator in all these things is you. Right? So I was like, okay, so what's the worst thing that can happen? I'm like, I'm never going to find the freaking guy in my dreams. I'm going to be 50 years old and single, Okay, so how does it make me feel? Shitty, often, awful, terrible, hopeless, like miserable, failure, all these things. Okay. So what do you have to believe about yourself or about life in order to have concocted this reality, right? Because your mind is creating the decisions that you make. It's a decision that you've made a couple times over and over again. And the thought that came out of my brain, and I've been doing personal development work for a long time. I've written books about it. You know what I mean? Like, it's not my first pony ride. And the thought that came out of my mind was, well, you can't really have what you want. You can't really have what you want. I was like, oh my God, I'm shocked. This still is in my brain. I was shocked. I was like, oh, wow. I turned that one around. I said, I absolutely can have everything that I want. I am irresistible to my divine mate. I am engaged to the man of my dreams by October 11th, 2015. I met my partner 10 days later.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. And it was love at first sight. One of those. And so, and I wanted a man, I told him within like an hour of meeting him, I was like, listen, you can drop me off at my friend's house. I'm going to get married. I'm going to have babies. Like, in or you out. Like, I don't care. I don't need to go down another week with you or night, to find out, like, in or out. Drop me off, no harm lost. He was like, well, didn't get my tubes tied, didn't get snipped and all that. So it was amazing, right? Manifested. And so that gave me, I was like, well, if it works for love, it can work for everything. And it does. So now back to you, Matt. So what do you have to believe about life or about,
So
about yourself, about life in order to have created this?
So the first thing that kind of pops into my mind as far as why I haven't gone and done a lot of public speaking and that sort of thing is, I guess, a limiting belief about the value that I provide. So this belief that, will I provide enough value if I got up in front of people? Is there enough for me to teach? It's a value thing, I think.
Okay, great. So this is awesome, and thank you for being vulnerable and courageous. It takes a lot of courageousness. So is it? And we're just gonna sweep a little bit to nail it. Because when you nail it, it's like shit. Some people cry. I'm not inviting you to cry. You can't. You need to. But most people are like, oh, got chills. Oh my god. So is it something like, I'll never be good enough, or they won't like me, or I'm not good at it, or I'm not ready yet, or just do a little digging? Is it any of those or close to some of those?
I'm not ready yet. I'm not too sure. I feel that. I feel like it's I'm not sure. Just is the value that I'm that I have for people worth their time to sit around and watch me, I guess.
Right. So it might be something like, I'm not good enough.
Yeah. I would say that's probably the closest.
Yeah. Or I don't know enough, or something like that. Okay. So that's really good. It's core belief. All right. So that's what we're after. We're after a core belief. It's a glasses that we put on. It's imagine glasses that we put on that are colored purple, right? So that's great. So now we got it. Okay. So something like, I'm not good enough. And no judgment, no criticism, like take all that out of here. I'm just, flashlight. It's like, oh, we got a gremlin, like Ghostbusters. So can you see how that belief, that filter, may translate throughout your entire life in different areas, not just the business, but relationships, could be health, could be like all of these areas, right? Because that's the core, that's the running program. And so, I invite people to really feel that once you find the gremlin, really feel the impact that has had, and in every area of your life. And most people are like, oh, light bulbs go off. They're like, holy smokes, right? If you have a belief in it that says, I'm not smart enough, or another one that I had in there was, don't make the best decisions, and you don't make any decisions, or I can't trust myself, or there's all kinds of this. There's more than one in there. Okay, that's the beauty. You can do this again and again.
Absolutely.
And your life will show you by what you create what's in here. That's the good news, right? Because it's just a thought, and you can make a new decision, and you can install it. So that's the good news. So now you felt the impact. Now we see what it is. So now we can install, we can turn it around, we can transform it and install a new one, because a belief is just a thought that you keep thinking. So that's the good news. So I invite people to make 4 to 6 positive affirmations that are in complete opposite of this one. And you're going to install them in a looping fashion where there is no resistance. It's a place called the oneness field. And that's actually how you open your subconscious to receive a new command or belief. That's how you slip it in. So what are these 4 to 6 new affirmations? And I'll just throw a few out there. And, again, it's a process of like, let's find the ones that feel really juicy. It could be something like, I'm really good at what I do. And I always use I am. I am, whatever you put after those words, it's like your vibrations calibrate. You calibrate to that. So it can be something like, I am really good at what I do. I'm, and it could be a level up and a building up to it. I'm the best at what I do. I'm an in-demand author, coach, speaker, writer, trainer. Right? I am fully booked solid. I'm a highly sought after paid speaker. I am fill in the blanks. So any or all of those could work. Invite people to write those down. So you have like 4 or 6 that feel really juicy and bang on. And then in the morning, as soon as this is what I do, people ask me all the time. They're like, "Well, what are your rituals? What do you do every day?" And if there's only one thing I do every day, it's this. I do it twice a day. And as soon as I'm conscious, haven't even like rolled over or had a sip of water, I'm conscious. I put my hands on my heart, and I start my looping. I am, and I start saying these affirmations, and then I start seeing myself with what it is that I want. So your mind works in pictures. So if it's money that you want, I picture money. There's like, I have this shower, but it's money now. And so I have like this big glass shower in the bathroom of our room. And I just picture this money piled up to the ceiling. I open the door, money like flies out at me everywhere. And I got money in my big white purse. I have this big white and black purse. And I have pallets of money in the spare bedroom. And there's like, people throw money at me. That was one of my affirmations. People throw money at me. And I would like hit me in the leg. It's balled up money, like elastics on it.
Uh-huh.
And so it's a combination of the affirmation and the visual, and eventually you know looping it over and over again until you actually are like, yeah, I can have that. That's totally true.
Mm-hmm.
And so then you move on to other ones, like more. Then something else happens in your life, and you're like, there's another gremlin I got to go and bust. So there's this always constant going over this again and again. But that's basically how the process works. It's taking a radically honest look, and most people don't want to do that. So I commend you for doing that, especially here on your podcast. Slate's coming out with questions.
It's funny. I've actually done exercises like that in the past on old podcasts that I used to do. And, one of the things for me is I actually don't really have any sort of issues getting vulnerable in front of people. But for whatever reason, when it comes to public speaking about, talking about my core competencies, I've always sort of really, really resisted going and doing that, even though I think that's something that could really expand my business. So it's interesting to think about, and I love that exercise. Now, just to kind of pick into it a little bit, now with the affirmations, when you start doing them and you decide there's something else I want to add to them, do you add to the affirmations, or do you like replace them with new affirmations?
That's a great question. So I kind of have a core that I always do.
Uh-huh.
And then I just like add in the ones that I'm working on now. So that's a great question. There's a few core base ones that you have to have. And the first one is I believe in myself.
Mm-hmm.
I believe in myself is like putting gas in your car. Car is not going to turn on, ain't going to take you down the street, ain't going to take you down the road, and on vacation, ain't going to take you nowhere. And your mind works, if you've commanded your mind that you don't believe in yourself, it'll never work for you. So it's huge. Mm-hmm. It's very simple. There's a great book that Henry suggested to me, actually, called Cybernetics. What is this?
Oh, Psycho-Cybernetics. Yeah.
Psycho-Cybernetics. It also talks about this. It talks about programming your mind to work for you. It's a mechanism. Mm-hmm. You're in control of the mechanism. That's the whole book is, take your power back now. It's about that, taking your power back from this, ego crazy, So I believe in myself. I'm a winner. I love myself. It's okay for me to be really, really rich, and I am. It's okay for me to have a lot of money, and I am. Another one that I really like is I am what's this? Something about extreme wealth, joy. I am receiving extreme wealth, joy, and romance. Something like that. Like the word extreme for me, I was like, oh my God, I like extreme. That's like, I don't know if I can do that. So I have a core few, and then I add whatever I'm working on until, like I said, all of a sudden you're just like, doesn't really, there's no, like, my hair doesn't go on my arms. Like, it's okay. Yeah, I can have that. And then that naturally, all of a sudden it's like, wow, it's right here in my life. It just doesn't happen. It doesn't take long.
Mm-hmm. Wow. That's so cool. Yeah, thanks so much for sharing that exercise. I think that a lot of people find that really helpful. I find it really helpful. I do I do the affirmation stuff pretty much every morning. That's something that I've added into my daily routine. Visualizations, I'm not as consistent with as I should be, but the affirmations I'm very consistent with. So something I definitely need to kind of implement more myself. I know we got to go pretty soon, but there's a couple little last minute questions I want to go down with you. One of them earlier, you mentioned the sort of who am I to talk about this concept, and I know that is really big with my audience. When I've done some polls in the past and talked to my private group, a lot of people seem to have this sort of imposter syndrome of, who am I to be the expert on this topic? What do you say to those kinds of people that have that sort of limiting belief?
Oh yeah, all my clients have this. They do, right? Because they're launching into really, becoming a coach or making a full-time income with it, or this is certainly my problem too. When I was selling mops, I could sell the crap out of these mops, but when it came time to sell my own coaching, I was like, oh, right. So here's what I have to say about that. I'm not Tony Robbins, and I make a great living. So you don't have to be a Tony Robbins in order to be an expert. Mm-hmm. And let's say you have a grade 5 awareness of your topic. Okay, well, you still have all the kindergartners, the grade 1s, the grade 2s, the grade 3s, the grade 4s that you can help and serve. And I think that's what God, Source, Spirit wants, is calling everyone to serve, right? If you're an expert, it's because you have that gene, you have that. You don't have the carpenter gene, you don't have the nurse gene, you have the expert teacher gene. Congratulations! Like, show up and own that. And you got to start with where you are and be okay with that. And if you do that, if you decide that you're okay with where I'm at, and just be where you're at, just teach people the grade 1s, the kindergartners, the grade 1s, the grade 2, grade 3, grade 4, grade 5. You can make a great income with that. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But you really need to own it, and to really be, I think, powerful and impactful in the world. You got to be willing to share your shit. You really do. I didn't want to do that, but both of my books have been written about, very almost like tragic stories. And looking back, they really built my business. They became movements, in their own right. I didn't want anyone to know I went bankrupt. Didn't want anyone to know I was in this crazy relationship for 8 years and nearly killed me. It became a best-selling book. Right? Stories, share your stories, and so if you don't know how to, how to do it, because a lot of people, they don't know where to start, what to do. And I tell my clients, start a 30-day video challenge. Just start being willing to be visible and deliver value, and then make offers. That's the recipe. So people are like terrified to be on video. Oh, they start at 12 times perfectionism. Now people want to see you. They want the cat to come flying by, the doorbell, and the kids to bombard you. One of the best videos I ever did, I'm putting on my silly fake eyelashes, and the kids are helping me, and there's 6 kids, and one kid's got a gun in the bathroom, and the kids drop the camera, and the other ones are doing tchotchke little things. It's got like 1,500 views in 24 hours. Like, people loved it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Like, you can't make this stuff up, right? That's what people want. They want the real you. With the ums and the ahs and, the bee that comes in your face, and it's real. People were so bombarded with like fakeness that authenticity, I really think, is a new currency in business. Yeah,
I agree. I think that the vulnerability and the getting outside of your comfort zone, that's those are the things that make the biggest strides. So I think you just got to do it. And you got to, over time, it becomes more comfortable.
Yeah.
So, okay, last 2 questions here. So first question, do you have any book recommendations? I'll make sure to list your books inside the show notes, but do you have any other book recommendations that you find yourself telling people to check out?
Yeah, I love this guy, Joel Osteen. I love him. He's like one of my favorite dudes. And he has a book called I Declare. It's like 31 declarations. So I love that because you command your mind. He brings in this, the concept of God, but really you command your mind. You command it to be open to presence, source, spirit, divine help. So I love that book. And he's got another book called The Power of I Am. I was like, oh my God. I'm teaching this stuff. I'm doing this stuff. I go to the airport one day. I'm like, that guy beat me to it. Wrote a book about it. Great book.
Very cool. Okay, so final question. Where can people go and find out more about you and learn about what you have to offer?
Yeah, so my website is called takeyourpowerbacknow.com. And you can find me. I'm on mostly Facebook. That's the best place to find me. My personal page, Vanessa Simpkins. And I'm on YouTube, I'm on Twitter and LinkedIn, but mainly on Facebook. It's the best place to find me. And again, my website's called takeyourpowerbacknow.com.
Very cool. I'll link to all of those in the show notes. Thanks so much for hanging out with us and sharing those exercises and letting us dig into your brand and all of that good stuff. I really appreciate you spending the time with me today.
Oh, you're welcome, man. It's been fun. Thanks for having me on the show.
Thank you.